Hello and welcome to the Jolly Ranchers YouTube channel. We are a small group of people, mostly me, making a video game called The Kid Detective. It's a murder mystery game and we are going to be looking for beta testers, but that's not for right now. For now, we are going to be covering Fungus Basics. Fungus is an amazing free storytelling visual novel tool is what it's sold as, but it can do almost anything in a free game making app called Unity. We are going to be covering the very basic things that it can do because the tutorials are a bit old, and I think we can expand upon the old tutorials a little bit and then cover some of the new features that have been added to Fungus since 2015 as well as we go on through this series. Without further ado, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll try to help with any fungus related issues you might have, and please comment what help you need, what you'd like to see. Leave a like and please subscribe because it would help other people be able to make great video games, and we all want more great video games. Now let's get into the video. Hello and welcome to Unity. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to download Fungus from the asset store. So I'm going to click on Unity. I'm going to go up here to Window and I'm going to click on Asset Store. And it'll take a while to load before we download the amazing Fungus in this beginner tutorial for Fungus. We will search Fungus games. As you can see, I've done this before. You should watch my other videos. They're very helpful. And now I'm going to scroll down, and it's this one. It looks like this. Let's take a quick look. Voila, it's Fungus. It's begging me to import, and so I will. Preparing package. This will take a bit. See you when it's done. I will install/upgrade. So it's going to show you this list, and this is just a bunch of juicy assets that come with Fungus. These are little audio noises that the text box will make as it goes by. You can choose to import or not import these different things, but I've always imported them all because why not have more free stuff? In here, there are some Fungus example scenes that you can look at, and they can teach you things, like I'm about to do right now. Once you have downloaded Fungus from the asset store, you will have a new thing up here that says Tools, Fungus. And in order to make a game that uses Fungus whatsoever, we are going to create flowchart. Every game that uses Fungus needs a flowchart for Fungus to be used. In order to open up the flowchart window, you can go over here, click on your flowchart game object over here in the hierarchy where your game objects are kept, and then go over here to the inspector, which will show the flowchart once you click it, and you can open your flowchart window. It's going to appear free floating like this. If you click on the window, it won't dock anywhere, but if you click on this tab here, you can dock it in various places. I usually dock it down here. Now I have access to it and any other windows I'd like to put down here. Like I usually put my project folder down here as well. Fungus operates like a flowchart. You can have multiple blocks. As you can see, I created a new block, and you can make one block flow into the other, which we will cover, I believe, in the next episode when we talk about dialogues and menu buttons. But for now, we will start with the Say Dialog. Okay, so we have our game started block, which will start the game for us. And once the game starts, we are going to go here. With the new version of Fungus, you have to double click this plus button for it to come up in this orderly fashion that I prefer. If you click it once, it appears as a long list of all the possible commands with like the path with the slash in them. So I like to double click it because it's easier to read. And the basic say command is here, and I will click on it to create it. So down here, once you click on the command, you can see that we can type in some text. And I will type in the traditional text that everyone must type in when they create their first game, and that is Hello World. And now let's play the game, and let's see this in action. Hello World. it says to us. Now, I believe we can click anywhere on the screen and the text goes away. We can change where we want to click on the screen to sort of cycle through say commands. I will create another say command to demonstrate this. I'm going to highlight this one and I'm going to click on this button here to duplicate the say commands. And I'm going to just type in another one. I am here. What a statement. And now I'm going to go up here to Tools, Fungus, Create, and I'm going to create a Say Dialog. By default, obviously it's using the default Say Dialog, which looks a lot like this one here. But by creating a Say Dialog, we can customize it in a variety of ways. As you can see, if you click on the Say Dialog over here, you can click on this little arrow, drop down all of its various constituent parts. The continue icon, which is down here, which appears after the story text types out. You can see that if we have a character, which is another aspect of Fungus that we can create later, the character name will appear here, the text appears here, you can have a picture of your character, portrait, if you will. So there are many different things to play with here, but first I'll click on the Say Dialog game object itself. I will scroll down in the inspector. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to make it so that we can only scroll through the dialogues by clicking on the dialogue, just to show you what that does. So before I was able to click way up here and it scrolled through, but now I cannot. And if I click on the dialogue itself, it scrolls through. That's just one option. Another option is that you can click on the continue icon right down there. I click here, I click there, it does nothing. I click on this button, it does something. So those are just some options for how you want your gameplay to be. You can make it even more obvious by using this text object down here, which only appears when the continue button appears. I'm going to make this text object big, and I'm going to say click to continue. I'm going to increase the font so that I can see it. The color is black, so it's not very visible. I'm going to change that to white. I'm just starting to customize the Say Dialog to look like I want in my own particular game. Not that I'm sure what kind of game this is yet, but that is the beauty of Fungus. It allows you to decide, and you can change lots of things about it. Like, for instance, when I hover over the button, if you click on the continue button, you can scroll down here to the button component that's on it. And you can say when you hover over it, I want it to turn a more purpley color. And I'm going to make the colors super exaggerated. And when I press it, it's going to turn black. Radical feedback for the player. So that's just some customizing you can do. You can also go up here to the panel, which is the text box itself. As you can see here, the default panel is this dialog box. You can actually choose any image. I'm just going to pick this gray button, for instance. I am going to change the color to maybe a sort of transparent black, just to show you a little bit of the customization you can do. I am going to change the image type. As you can see here, you can do various things. This makes it appear in its normal size. If you uncheck preserve aspect, it stretches it out through this whole box. You can increase or decrease the box. You can have it uncentered. If you accidentally uncenter it, you can click on this. Make sure you are not in this mode, or when you move it around, it won't snap into positions like that. But if you click up here on the rect tool, you can center it along the axes of the canvas that goes over the screen. And I'm going to choose filled because you can do some cool random stuff like this. Whoa, what an edgy text box I've made. And so quickly, too. Those are just a few of the options you have with Say Dialog. But let's get back into what you can do with them in the flowchart. We can go down here and you can type in a description to yourself, like, better be a first good line of this game. Work on the dialogue here. Better be a first line. That's going to really help me. The second option here is to extend previous. So you have to have a Say Dialog that is previous to another one. If I click this box, we can actually, let's just go and see what it does. Hello, world. And as you can see, our button changes to a different color. Not the pink color we chose, but that's because a pink overlay over the teal does not look pink. as it turns out. And if I click it, I am here appears in the same text box. We extended the previous Say dialog into the next one. And as you can see, there's no space because you have to type that space in somewhere. So that's what extend previous does. It allows you to perform actions if you want something to happen in the middle of a line of text. For instance, like I could double click here and I could put any one of these commands in between these two Say dialog boxes. Say a character was talking, I could play a character's animation state so that maybe when they said hello world, they looked serious. And then when they said I am here, they yelled. They had an open mouth yell kind of thing. So extend previous allows you to change things in the middle of one line of text, in case you want that. It's a very flexible system. If we go down here and we open up the tag help, it gives us just like a whole bunch of options of different things we can have in a text box. Bold text, italics, we can color the text different colors, we can make the text huge or small all of a sudden, we can make the writing speed faster, we can wait a couple seconds in between lines of dialogue in the same text box. There's a massive amount of options. These are some of my favorite. You can Command C or Control C on PC to copy one of these tags. And if I paste in the tag, this is how you use any of the tags. We're gonna get some sort of vertical punch effect. This being the intensity of the punch, and this being the duration of the punch. I'll just increase that to 1 so we can really see what it does. So we have our first line, and then there should be a vertical punch once I click. Wow, rumble. A little bit of a rumble. You see that a lot in games like Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. There might even be a punching sound effect when someone does that, and you can put in a sound effect using these tags. As you can see, if you have an audio object, you can put in a sound effect in the middle of one of your Say dialogues. Just as easy as copy and pasting it in there. You can go up here to the hierarchy, create your audio object, and maybe this is getting too advanced. Put in an audio clip, any one of these that was imported from Fungus, and if you just put the name of the audio object into the text box right here where it says to put the audio object name, it will play the sound effect when that bit of text comes up. You might not have been able to hear it, but it did play the sound effect. So that's just another thing you can do with Say dialogues. You can put in a voiceover clip if you just add it to your assets folder, drag it in. Let's just see what that does. If I add angry giant insect into the voiceover clip, what are we going to experience? Oh my, what a clip. If you uncheck show always here, if you were to create a new block and come back to that old Say dialog block, I went to the flow commands and chose the call command, which will call up a different block. I created a new block by going down here to the plus button, and it creates a new block. And I am just going to quickly demonstrate how, if you uncheck the show always option in the Say dialog, when you come back to the same block, the Say dialog will not show more than the show count number. I'm going to make sure this goes over here. And I'm actually going to minimize this so that you can see the commands moving as we click through in the game. And we're going to call this block in the next command once we click. And this block is going to call back the original block. Although, because we did it so fast, it was already running, and so it couldn't be called that quickly. What we'll do to work around this for now is I'm going to add in a flow wait command, just so that the block definitely stops executing before we call it again. And once we click on this, we should not see that same say command again, because we said that it should only show once, and it will continue to not show as we loop infinitely in our Hello World game. which is very bizarre and creates insect sounds. Okay, let's create another say command to see what else say commands can do. Fade when done is a very useful feature for when you want to ask the player a question. What would you like to do? This will lead well to the next video where we talk about menu commands and menu dialogues. I'm going to go to narrative and menu and create our first menu option. And a menu option is like a button that the player can choose. So what would you like to do? Go left. Usually there are at least two options at a time. I'll say go left or go right are your two options. As you can see, a menu button demands that it goes to a block. And so I will rename this block that I previously created go right. And I'm going to control click or right click on PC and just duplicate this go right block and rename it go left for simplicity's sake. Once we have our two options of blocks that correspond to our menu buttons, I am going to put the go left block to the go left menu button and the go right block to the go right menu button. And let's just see what happens if I don't check fade when done on our say command. Hello world, what would you like to do? So as you can see, because I didn't check fade when done and because I had a say dialog afterwards, it moved on to the next say dialog after our menu options. Let's get rid of the say dialog after our menu options because it's making a lot of noise over on my side and it's confusing my demonstration. Okay, I deleted those two for simplicity's sake. So let's see what happens when I don't unclick fade when done on the say dialog. Hello world, what would you like to do? So I have these two options and they're very simple, but if a player was stuck here deciding on which option to choose and they didn't have the question, why am I going left? Why am I going right? Who's asking me this question? Like, what are the options I'm choosing from? You might want to leave the say dialog here, the question that the player is being asked. And how you do that is you just simply check fade when done on the say dialog. Hello world, what would you like to do? Go left and go right. And the question still remains. So the player can have as long as they want, and they'll never forget why they're choosing between 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any amount of menu buttons. Last thing for say dialogues, these other things are fairly self-explanatory. If you uncheck stop voiceover, if there's a voiceover clip, it will not stop playing when you click through to the next say dialogue. But if stop voiceover is checked, when you click, the voiceover will cut off and the next voiceover of your next say dialogue will begin. Wait for voiceover means that the player cannot click through the say dialogue until the voiceover line is finished, which may be good if you worked really hard on the voiceover of your game and you don't want players to be able to skip through it. And set say dialog, I could go up to tools, fungus, create a new say dialog, and have a different looking say dialog than my edgy sort of Persona 5 style say dialog that I've made. You could have different looking text boxes. And wait for click is just as it sounds. You'll have to believe me when I say I am clicking this first time, and now I'm not clicking, and it proceeded to show the menu buttons. So that's a nifty trick, maybe if you want someone to get cut off, like, hey, I'm frequently interrupted. And if we uncheck wait for click, then we will have no choice but to interrupt this frequently interrupted person. So that's everything you can do with the say dialog. Next week, menu options, which we've already started. Okay, that was it for this week. Let's do next week. Okay, that's it for this time. Next time we cover menu options. Using say dialog and menu options combined, you could create an entire text adventure game. It's kind of amazing how easy it is to use Fungus. So please like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next video, stay jolly.